And now we got to get the third part, which is how do you land, right? I've gotten you in the sky, I've flown you around in the sky, now you got to get down. It's the third scariest part. Well, there's 3 different ways to land a paramotor, and I'll explain the 3 different ways and when you want to fly, or when you want to do the first way, the second way, and the third way. The first way is how you land it, which is where you're at 70 feet, idling, maintaining altitude, you get out of your seat, off the power, hands up, and you dive at the ground. And you just come in from 70 feet out of your seat, guide to the ground. As you near the ground, you round it out into a perfect set down. That's the first way. That's the way that new pilots typically want to do it. That's the way that you did it. That's the way that you're gonna do it. That's the way, and if you're new, you want to come into the landing. You don't want to worry about the power, you don't want to worry about the throttle, you don't want to worry about any of that. You want 70 feet out of your seat, dive at the ground, wait, flare nice and perfectly, hold your feet off the ground all the way until you stop. That's the first way. And there's a second way. Second way is the way that you see like Tyler and Mo land. That's where they come down to right next to the ground. They use the power to hold themselves right off the ground all the way until they start flaring off the power, land, set down. That's called a foot drag to landing. That's where you're literally doing a foot drag and you transition from a foot drag into a landing. Boom. And you can watch as the brakes come down, you ease off the power to maintain your altitude. That's the second way. That's a foot drag to landing. That is typically used as you start to progress from a beginner pilot into an intermediate pilot and you're starting to get good. That's when you want your landings to be a little bit more crispy. That's when you want them to look a little bit cooler. That's when you want to stop coming in at 70 feet and coasting your way down. You want to dive at the ground and be near the ground and then land it perfectly. That's the second way. That's not how I land. I land the third way. Third way is fun. Third way is the swooping way. That's where you stuff a bunch of brakes, throw your hands up, it dives you at the ground, and you just round out right next to the ground at like 50 miles an hour and just scrape your way all the way to the end. That's what you guys watched me do the other day. That was the really cool way of landing. That's the really fun way.
And yo, super dive. Oh yeah, full speed.
Oh yeah,
burning it, baby. That's so beautiful. Who's having fun?
That's when you're starting to get a little bit more advanced. That's when you're starting to get good. That's when you've built some skills, you've practiced. That one's dangerous. That one has some risk to it because you're stuffing so much brake and diving straight at the ground that if you miss that timing, you're just gonna go straight into the ground. If you miss the timing the opposite way, you're gonna be way up here and you're gonna just drop 10 feet out of the sky. That one, you've got to get the perfect timing to where you're barely scraping the ground, where your feet are just barely touching the ground all the way until you land. Now, a few things to look out for. One, don't forget to flare. Don't just come in from 70 feet out of your seat and fly right into the ground. I've watched it happen quite a few times. That's not really the best way of landing. Also, don't flare too fast. Don't come in 5 feet, you just go whoop, and you just shoot yourself up 10 feet and sink right back down into the ground. That's not good. That's not good. You want to flare at the speed in which you stop sinking. As you start sinking down, you're near the ground, you start to flare so that your body stays at the same height off the ground all the way until you stop. And when you stop, you don't just want to stop with the brake here. You want every single inch of that brake pressed. You want to pull all of it. There's no holding back on brake. All that brake all the way down until you land. The second you land, you take off running forward. So land, keep moving forward, ease those hands up slowly, run around, drop it down. And when do you get out of the seat? On the 70 foot out of your seat. Pretty simple, it's in the name. 70 feet out of your seat. Guide yourself in and land. And that's how you want to land when you're a new pilot. As you start to get some experience, you start foot dragging, you start practicing foot drags. And that's when you can start working into the foot drag to landing. Now with the foot drag to landing, you get out of your seat as soon as you start going into that foot drag. Now, you're not necessarily foot dragging before you actually land, but you get out of your seat and you act like you're about to foot drag, you're on the throttle, you're maintaining altitude, you slowly ease off that power, As it starts sinking you, you ease into the brakes. If you start climbing, you ease off the power. As it starts sinking you, you ease into the brakes. And it's just this balance that you learn to boom perfection, where you're just scraping your feet across the ground. Same height, same everything. Now with the diving, you'll watch. I stuff a bunch of brakes, I shoot my hands up, I start diving at the ground. Right as I'm about rounding out, I'm out of my seat. I want my feet down because I want that touch, I want that feeling on the ground to know my exact altitude. Because if my feet are on the ground, I know if I'm here or if I'm here, because I have that feeling. And so as I dive, I want my feet to just feel that ground, and I just want it to barely skim the ground all the way to landing. And you watch as I do the landing, I come in and it's barely any brake. In fact, no brake all the way until the very end, and then it's really quick. I'm all the way down really, really fast. There's not that much hesitation. I've burned off all that speed and to lift into energy and to glide forward. And as I'm coming to the very end, I want to stop myself. I just have to stop all that brake, land. You watch as I land, I look up at that wing, I keep moving forward. I don't shoot my hands up, I don't hold the brake stuff. After I land, those hands start to ease their way up as I start moving forward. I ease into that power and I go. Actually, you want to hear something funny? Everybody's commenting on the last post. I only made it 5 seconds, I only made it 15, 45, 30. Guess what? I know how long they actually made it because I have the statistics. The average view duration was 2 minutes and 31 seconds. So those people are lying. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this little 3-part series. How to launch, how to land, how to fly, how to launch, how to fly, how to land, in that order. Cut.